Grid Force Master of the Goddess sounds like a Frankenstein of a game. Part bullet hell, part RPG, part deep narrative, part manga? It's a very intriguing game where you hear all of this, but for me, there was something in the back of my head that was wondering, is this too much? Will it be a case of too many cooks spoiling the broth? And I was somewhat right, but also somewhat surprised at how well it worked at times.
Get ready, fight.
Grid Force Mask of the Goddess was developed by Playtra Games and Dreamnauts Studios, and published by Playtra Games and Gravity Games Arise Co. Limited. It was released on 15th of September 2022 for Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Windows and Linux. Our story is simultaneously simple and confusing. We play as Donna, who awakens in the beginning of the game in a mysterious place with no memory of who she is, or where she is. We soon learn that Donna is the champion of a deity called Clea, and that a great threat is upon the world. Clea explains that by approaching the other deities, Donna can gain their masks, which will in turn grant a character the power of that deity. However, to gain this, Donna must either defeat the champion of that deity, or convince them to help her. From here, the story becomes somewhat confusing. We learn that this is not the first time Donna has attempted this. In fact, this quest has happened countless times before, something our companions refer to as cycles. Everyone seems to remember Donna, and know that she is the champion of Clea. But Donna knows nothing, not even her friends. We go from place to place, encountering enemies along the way. We meet many new faces, some of which may join us this cycle. See, Grid Force features decision making. You can choose to help a person, or to leave them be and help yourself. But this in turn will have consequences. It may be something as small as that individual not joining your team, or it may be more severe. I lost a party member in my playthrough. There is the potential to be betrayed by characters, and the story does become somewhat deep at times. We dive into past events, and Donna learns about herself along the way. The problem is that the story is very confusing at times. We have to attempt to follow each of the deities and their storyline, as well as what has happened in the past. This, coupled with the fact that there are certain things characters cannot tell Donna without it affecting this cycle, and we are left scratching our heads, unsure if we fully understand everything we just read. And, while the art style of the cutscenes is great, I did find myself somewhat overwhelmed at times and just kind of switching off. The dialogue of the game is very wordy at times, and because of the nature of what is essentially a time loop, it's very easy to get lost in what is happening in this cycle as opposed to in previous cycles. Overall, the story is meant to be about the making of mythology and how truth, trust and justice can be tragically, and sometimes comically, a matter of perspective. That is a direct quote from the Playtra website, from the Grid Force press kit. Would I say that the story I experienced matched that? Honestly, no. The story of the game is fine, but I didn't feel it was anywhere near as deep as it was made out to be. In terms of gameplay, Grid Force is somewhat of a bullet hell game. Fights occur on a grid, with a player able to move each character as per the tiles. The grid is split into your side and the opponent's side. This does somewhat limit your range of movement, and so you have to be on top of it when it comes to where you are going to move. It is possible to be trapped behind obstacles and find yourself unable to move, essentially becoming a sitting duck. As the player, you have a range of attacks at your disposal. A is your standard attack, and RT is the more powerful attack. As you level up, you gain access to extra abilities which will be mapped to B and X. These abilities depend on the character, but range from support abilities such as healing, to attacks targeting one or even several enemies. As you progress through the game, you will gain the aforementioned masks, which essentially give that character an ultimate move. These again range in their uses, and can be supportive, such as reviving a dead ally, or sometimes more offensive, such as inflicting death marks on enemies. These masks can be equipped and unequipped easily, allowing you to change your team and not be worried about losing out on a particular ultimate move. On top of this, there is the elemental weakness system in the game to consider. Every ally you gain, as well as Donna, will deal damage from a particular element. Donna is a light champion, Pan is an air champion, Bird is an earth champion, and so on. Not only do champions attack at different speeds, but you also don't want to put yourself in a situation of facing enemies which the majority of your team are weak against. It's the Pokemon conundrum, and something that can be the difference between conquering a grid and losing to an enemy. The RPG elements of the game come from the sigils you collect from defeating enemies. Enemies drop these diamond-shaped objects, of which there are multiple colours. You also gain these at the end of a grid, on the screen in which you can upgrade or change your squad. Each colour represents an element. In the upgrade screen you can choose which champion to upgrade and which stat to upgrade. These sigils, however, are for the entire roster, and so you find yourself upgrading the key characters that you use the most regularly. There were some characters that I just found myself not liking, and so I never used a sigil on them to upgrade them. Gridforce has a very large and diverse roster, and so it seems that it wouldn't be possible to upgrade all of the champions to the same level without some grinding. As you level up a champion, they gain the abilities that I mentioned before. These grid scenes also allow you to change the squad about and change the masks should you want to. The game has a good soundtrack, this EDM style soundtrack that matches the fast-paced gameplay. Visually, the game looks good. The art style of the characters are excellent and are very diverse. The manga cutscenes are a nice touch to the game and are quite pleasant to read. They play out almost as a cutscene, with each press of the A button revealing the next panel. However, I wouldn't say it's enough to push the game into the realms of a must-play. Overall, Gridforce is a pleasant game to play. It has enough of a story for those like me who place a lot of value in the plot of the game. The gameplay is solid, however, can be frustrating at times, but I feel that this is fairly standard for bullet hell games, let alone ones that include elemental weaknesses. Gridforce is currently £20 on Steam as of recording, and I feel that that is a fair price for this game. Gridforce is a good game, with some flaws that sadly stop it from being much better, but if you enjoy fast-paced gameplay and having a wide roster of characters to choose from, then Gridforce is the game for you.